Hello everybody and welcome to this IADLearning product demo. IADLearning is an adaptive learning software, which basically means that IADLearning tries to understand the students in your LMS and tries to offer them a personalized learning experience. IADLearning supplements the LMS functionality and basically creates content recommendations that are individual for each individual, and also generates a set of analytics that are very useful for institutions and also for teachers in order to follow up the ongoing learning processes. As a product, we could say that IADLearning has three different parts, three different building blocks. The first one has to do with visualizing content, so we will see how content gets visualized within the tool. The second one has to do with analytics, and analytics has many phases within IADLearning. One of them is content recommendation, so we will see how this content recommendation works. And the last one has to do with bringing content, legacy content, basically Word and PDF, into the tool in a way that this content becomes adaptive. So those are the three pillars, as I said, of IADLearning. So let's go and let's start with the first one that has to do with visualizing content. So we are going to log in into IADLearning. So we are going to be logging like admins because what we are going to do requires these permissions. So basically this is the list of courses that we have within IADLearning. So we are going to go into one of them. And you can do many things as admin, but we are going to concentrate on visualizing content, which is the first topic that we want to discuss. So when you come into a training course, the first thing you see is basically all the chapters that this course is having. So you can click on one of the notes and understand whether there are sub-notes, whether there are sub-chapters. You can also click on the arrow and then you get a summary of this chapter. But when you click on one of these elements, what happens is that you land into this concept map, and this concept map is the main navigation interface. This concept map is built at two different levels. One is a structure, so you see that you have the chapter 2, and thus this chapter has sub-chapters 2.1, 2.3, 2.4, etc. But at any given point in time, if a student wants to explore content which is related, for example, to 2.3, then a student can click on this plus sign, and there you navigate into a different level of your concept map, and this level is a semantic level. So you see here contents within this training course that are related to the content of 2.3. And the way those nodes are being displayed is not random, meaning that the nodes that are on the top part of the screen are much more related to 2.3 than the nodes that are on the bottom part of the screen. So basically you can navigate through the structure, meaning following the blue lines, I can go through to the structure of my course, or you can explore related content by clicking on the plus sign. So as students have this freedom of navigation, we offer them a number of aids in a way they don't get lost. So first one, they have this breadcrumb in here where they see all the pathway that they have followed through the contents, and they can at any point in time go back in their pathway. Second, we offer them this table of content. This table of contents is going to be present in all the screens. You will see that by basically going into this table of content, you have an helicopter view of your course, and you can click on any of the subjects, and then you can just go to this specific topic. And also, you see that in this diagram, you have nodes that have a thicker border than others. So those nodes we have that have a thicker border have been already visited, meaning that at a glance you can immediately spot that, for example, node 4.7 was not visited. So this is another help that you have in terms of understanding how is your progress within this training course. So when you click into the eye, then you go into the content itself, and then you have a number of elements that are, for you to study better. Well, the first one is that you can go back and forth just by clicking on the arrows. You move to the next element of content. You can also underline, so you can select the underline tool, select a piece of text, and underline this text in whatever basically color you want to choose, underline or highlight, whatever you want to call it. And then basically this helps you later on when you want to study this topic. In fact, when you land into any of the topics, you can click on this ray, and what you get is a list of all the contents that are basically highlighted within this topic. And this is kind of a summary of the topic that you can use to quickly spot what is this topic about, or to quickly review the topic itself, right? Another thing that you have in this tool is the possibility of annotating the content. So you have this notes tool. So you can create private notes or public notes. Private notes are just for yourself, things that you want to note down about this specific area of content, while public notes are for everybody. So if you create a public note, this note is going to be seen by others. So this gives this kind of a study a social component in a way that you can share your experiences, or maybe just an internet link or whatever you want to share with your colleagues that are going through the same content, right? What else? You have also the possibility of searching within the course. So if I search, for example, for network, what you see is that there is a list of notes within this training course that have this topic, or where this topic is relevant, and also there are notes in other content courses where you could possibly jump, right? So if you like to go and explore this concept in another course, you can just click in here and you would be jumping to a different course. Again, what I said before, you always have this table of contents. By means of this table of contents, you can land in whatever topic, in whatever content you want to land, right? In particular, let me go to one which is basically 2.2, because I want to show you something else. So in this case, for example, this content has been enriched, meaning that the instructor or the teacher has added two additional resources to this topic. Then you see this red flag. So when you click on this button, what you see is those specific contents that are, add-ons to this content. In particular, in this case, we have an image, for example, and in this case, we have also a document that you can download. So basically, we will see later on that we can add videos, audios, images, links, or documents to be downloaded, right? Let me go to the bottom part of the content. So the first thing that you see is that you can basically rate the content in terms of quality and in terms of difficulty, meaning that we are going to be getting feedback from the students on our content, how this fits our population. And you can also see in here one, or the list of notes that are related to the one you are exploring at this stage, in a way that you can jump to related content without going back to the concept map, right? And basically, this is it when it comes to visualizing content, right? Let me go back because I want to show you something else, because the tool has another view which is called library, and this view is showing exactly the same but in a different way, and the way it's shown somehow facilitates more a linear type of navigation, right? So we have seen that the students that mainly use this view as the main content view follow a more linear path, as opposed to others that are following this concept map. So you see exactly the same in this view. So you see that those are the related nodes. This is node 3.3, and the related nodes are 2.5, 4.8, whatever, and you can explore more if you wish. And you can click on the minus sign, and then basically what you see is the structure of the course, 3 with 3.1, 3.2, etc. And the way it works is exactly the same. Clicking on the plus sign shows you the semantics, shows you the semantic relationships. This is something that I wanted to show you, but there is just another element that I want to go through, and has to do with tests, with exams within the tool. So I can click on quizzes. In this case, there is one quiz built in here. So I can click on this quiz, and then I can take the quiz. So there are a number of questions that I will be answering, and this is very important because it helps you understanding how is your student going in the training course, and it's also helping us to create better recommendations for your student. At the end of the day, we are going to take into account the progress of your students through these quizzes that are basically done during during the course. In this case, for example, there are 5 questions. I got 2 right, 3 wrong, and then I can go and review and see where I made my mistake. So it's another way of somehow evaluating our students, right? This has to do with the second part that I just was describing. This has to do with visualizing content. Just to summarize this part, we have seen that the main interface for browsing the content is this concept map that lets you explore the content at two levels, the structure of your content and also the semantics, also the relations between the different content elements. And also we have another view, which is called the library view. And also you have the possibility of creating quizzes and evaluation tests in a way that you can somehow understand what's the progress of your students. So now I want to jump to the other pillar of the application, the second pillar of the application that has to do mainly with recommendation and with analytics, right? So let's call it analytics. Analytics has many phases within the application, and the first one I'm going to show you has to do with recommendation. So basically, what if I click on this optimum path, check, what happens is that the tool starts recommending content, right? In particular, we have a new type of node, which is a green node, and this is the content that the tool recommends us to visit next, right? So if we want to maximize the performance within this course, the tool understands that we should be visiting 1.12. And well, again, we have total freedom for navigating through this content, either following the blue lines, meaning following the structure, or jumping into related content. But the tool keeps on recommending the next node that we should be visiting. What happens if we go to this node? Well, we visit this node, we go through the content, and we go back, and what happens is that the tool then recommends a new one, right? So the tool is aware that we have visited the one that was recommended to us, and then is recommending a new topic to visit, right? I just want to go back to the topic itself because I wanted to show you something, right? So as we are now with this recommendation mode active, we not only see a list of related nodes, but we can jump from the content itself into the recommended node if we wanted to do so, right? So let's go back to the diagram. As I said, a new type of node that is being shown, that is the recommended node. But if I switch now to the other view, which is the library view, I'm going to see the complete pathway that at this stage the tool recommends me to follow in order to maximize my performance. And there is an important sentence in here. I mean, at this stage, because the tool will be recommended different things depending on how I am evolving through the content, right? In particular, and just to touch on this topic, the tool gets the recommendations based on three different inputs. One has to do with the history, all the people that already went through this content before, so we understand what were their pathways, and we understand how those pathways took them to success or failure. So the second input that we take into account is the actual navigation of the student. So we understand what are you doing in the training course in order to recommend you content. And the third element is your profile. So we know a number of variables about yourself. And based on these three elements, we calculate a recommendation for you, and we let you know what is our recommended next node, right? So this is the piece that makes IADLearning an adaptive learning software, and this is why we call it an adaptive learning software, basically this phase of the analytics, right? But let me touch on two other phases that analytics has in IADLearning, right? The first one has to do with statistics. So basically IADLearning is showing us statistics consolidated at two different levels. One is the course level, so I can go here and see my statistics, which are basically the percentage of students that have passed, average grade, average time in the course. I can also see what's the profile of access to my training course in terms of time, and there are also a number of diagrams that let me understand how my students are doing in the course depending on their profile. For example, in this case, students that are coming from the engineering area are having not such a good performance, but the students that are coming from social and law studies are having a better performance. At the end of the day, looking at this, profiling of our students, we can understand how to, for example, improve our content to cover maybe a population that is not doing well with our content, or we can even understand which is the population where we should target our marketing efforts in order, for example, to get more people into our training courses, right? So this could be, this could have many uses, right? So those are statistics consolidated at course level. We also have statistics consolidated at the student level. So let me go in here. Let me, search for one student. in here. So okay, I click in, and what I see, for example, is that I can understand what was the navigation profile of this student, meaning all the all the chapters, how much time was spent on every single content element, and what was the the rating of this element in terms of quality, in terms of difficulty, and also the average rating for quality and difficulty in the course, time spent, and also if the course was having quizzes, I could go and basically understand what were the number of attempts, the the mark in each of those attempts, and so on and so forth, and of course the consolidated mark and so on, right? And the third part that I wanted to show you, I think is more interesting, has to do with proactive analytics. So basically what we do is we generate a number of alarms, and those alarms have to do with things that we believe are not right in the way that people is navigating the course. And at the end of the day, it's the teacher who decides whether these are relevant or not in this context with this group of students and within this course, right? For example, we're going to raise an alarm if we believe that the content is not going to be visited. So again, it's the teacher who decides whether this is important or not. Maybe it's a content which is not the core to the course, so if it's not visited, it doesn't matter. But if it's a core content, then maybe he or she should send an email to the students, asking for reviewing this content or whatever. For example, content where the student is, spending more time than expected. This could maybe mean that the content is not very good, right? And it's not properly understood by students. Or, the opposite, content that is supposed to be very dense, but at the end of the day, students do not spend much time on it. So again, is the teacher, is the is the instructor who needs to review those alarms and understand whether those are relevant or not within his context and within the course, right? So, but at least we are trying to predict situations in here in order to allow for a proactive follow up of students, and not to not to wait for the end of the course and see that some stuff happened that I could have prevented before, right? That's why we call them proactive, because those are predictions that we generate in order to help teachers to better follow up on the content, to better follow up on the course, and so on and so forth. So this is the third part, which has to do with analytics, and the second part, sorry, that has to do with analytics. And basically, just to summarize, analytics within the tool have many phases. I have mentioned three of them. One is content recommendation. We offer students individual content recommendations based on their profile, on the history, and also on their navigation style. Second is statistics that we consolidate at course level and at student level. And the third element that we have is predictive alarms, proactive alarms that let you understand how your learning process is going and let you take proactive actions to basically mitigate whatever risk you think there is in this course, right? Now, we would like to go to the third part, which has to do with bringing content into the tool, importing content into the tool. So let me go and show you how this is done. So let me go and let's create a new course, right? So first of all, I'm going to create a new course. I'm going to call it, I don't know, BBB test, for example. So I can select the category of the course. In this case, for example, networking. I can select, for example, the description, networking course. Then I can say how much time this is going to take to students to review, enrollment, number of dates, whatever. There are a lot of information that I can provide about my course, a video, for example, an image for the course, whatever, right? But the most important thing is that I have to select a number of documents that are going to be the core of my course. So I can select a file, right? And then let me go to documents and select, for example, those ones that I have in here. So those ones are going to be my course. I have these documents, but I could have more, and this could be a combination of PDF and Word. So whatever I want to have in here, I can have it. And I can reorganize them, because the way that the tool works is that it generates this concept map that we have seen, and to organize this concept map uses the order in which the documents have been, loaded into the tool. Although we can later on change it, and we will see how to do it. So just for going quicker, let's leave just one single document. I click on save and continue. Well, the tool is telling me that I'm not using any template. So if I use templates for Word documents, then I can speed up the process. But in this case, I say that this is okay. And then what happens is that the tool is trying to come up with a first structure of the course. It's trying to understand how the content is organized in order to offer me, a possible, content structure. So I can provide feedback, clicking here. And what I see is that this is the way the tool understands the content, right? So this is done based on the styles of the document, meaning that the tool tries to match every style with a hierarchical level. In this case, we see that there's a style which is called heading 1, and the tool believes that this is a title 1 hierarchical level. There's a style called heading 2, and the tool believes that it's a title 2, but I can change at any point in time. I can say, no, this title 1 is in reality a title 2, and you see that the structure of the course is changing. And basically, this works with the predefined styles, but also works with with your customized style. So if I had customized style 1, the tool would show me the matching of this style and the hierarchical level. If I have to review, I have a number of 8s in here. For example, heading 1 is 6 times in the text, and I can click on the eye, and I can even see where this text is happening within the document, and I can do the same for all the different styles that have been detected within this text, right? So when I'm happy with the structure, I could even, I could possibly delete a node. I could do whatever I want to do. And when I'm okay with the structure, I can click on validate. And if the structure is right, then I click on save. And then what happens is that I can create the master, right? I can create the course. So in this process, there are 3 things happening. First one is that the tool is basically fragmenting my document into the pieces that I just decided, right? So it's creating this structure for my course. The second thing that is happening is that we are basically converting everything to HTML. You see that everything we saw before is pure HTML, and this comes from this phase within the process. And the third thing that the tool is doing is basically creating these relationships that we saw before. So it's basically calculating these semantics of our course and creating these magenta lines that we saw while we were navigating. So we can just click on go to the training course, and we see the structure of our training course. We can navigate, through the training course, and basically we can see, we can click on this plus sign, for example, and see all the different, related content. Okay, this is the process of creating a course from, Word and PDF, but we can do something else, for example, which is, modifying the course. We can edit the course. So let's go to the editing interface. Let's search for our course in here, and then we have the course there. So what we can do is we can click on edit, and when we click on edit, the tool is basically showing us a helicopter view of our course, and with all the sections and subsections, and we can do many things. We can, for example, decide that this section should be on top of the other one. We can decide that this section, should have a different hierarchical level. We just move, back and forth the hierarchical level of a section. If we have a section that has multiple subsections, let me find one. We can reorganize the subsections within a section with just a movement of our mouse. And for example, we can enrich the content. Remember that I showed you before a node that had an image, and I had that had a document to download. We do it from here. We just click on this icon, and what we can do is enrich the content, and we can basically load an audio, a file, an image, a link, or even a video, right? That basically is there to supplement whatever content is in this node. And well, of course, I can, for example, delete a node, and also I can even edit the content itself. So this is the content of the node. I can just go here and say, hello, I am editing, right? So you have total flexibility in terms of how you want to organize your course, and in terms of how you want to edit your course, from simple structure to content itself. At the end, once you have loaded your content, you can manipulate the content the way you want, right? And this is Finally, what I wanted to show you in terms of loading content into the tool. As I said, to summarize, you can load content in a very simple process, which is a three-step process. Basically, I bring my documents. The tool is providing me somehow an initial structure for this content. Then I can edit this structure, and once I am happy, then I click on create the course, and the course gets created for me with all the HTML and also with all the semantic relationships between the content elements. This is the first part, and the second part is that at any point in time I can go and edit my course in multiple ways, going from the structure to the content itself, right? And this is what I wanted to show you in terms of IADLearning today. Thank you very much for joining our demo. So if you need more information, just contact us.